What's going on, guys? Chris from Review Cave here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys another video talking about a manga that I have recently caught up with and am going to continue to read. And that manga is, in fact, Mission Yozakuro Family. Now, this manga came out a little over a year ago, and I did not expect much from it, considering that Spy X Family was coming out around the same time, and I wasn't entirely sure how I would feel about a spy-centric shonen. But I gave it a try and it was honestly pretty enjoyable. I put it down for a bit after it initially started, but then I decided to binge read it recently, and it was a really fun read. It balances a lot of good things you like about a classic shonen, but with a spy-centric theme, as well as a good interpretation of what it means to be family. That is one of the core themes of this series, being family. Before I get into that, let me just give you a quick rundown of what the story is about. Our story follows Taiyo, our main protagonist, who ends up somehow managing to get himself involved in the world of spycraft. His friend Mutsume is actually the current head of the Yozakura family, who are essentially the most powerful spy family and influential one in the world. And what helps with this is that not only are they highly trained spies in their own ways, each member of the family, aside from Mutsume, does have some sort of superhuman abilities, whether it be being immune to poisons, having superhuman strength and agility, being able to have full mastery of bullets and stuff like that. It's very intriguing on how they manage to do the superhuman aspects or abilities that way you would see in a classic shonen in a spy thriller, essentially. But yes, the main story follows Taiyo as he ends up getting married to Mutsume in a way that would essentially protect her life, because the two of them were friends to begin with after Taiyo lost his family. And he ends up being a part of the Yozakura family, which contains like a bunch of different people, primarily the main siblings of Mutsume: Kyotaro, Futaba, Shion, Shinzo, Kengo, Nanao, and their dog Goliath. And in all honesty, while it is a somewhat large cast at times, it does feel very condensed, because the story begins off with Taiyo learning to become an actual spy, because the guy does not have any real makings of a spy whatsoever. And in order to help protect Mutsume and essentially contribute to this new family that he is now a part of, he trains tirelessly so he can become a master spy, on par with the superhuman-like people in his current family. And one thing I do enjoy about Yozakuro Family is, while there is an overarching plot of like what happened to Taiyo's parents originally, who was behind trying to kidnap Mutsume to try and harvest her blood, because Mutsume, while not being the one with powers, she in fact has the specialty in her blood that actually makes her descendants gain powers, and it's an interesting cycle with a lot of different complex issues. But the fact is, ever since she was a little girl, she would be constantly attacked, kidnapped, or targeted by other organizations and spies to try and take her DNA and her blood, so that they could create their own super soldiers using that kind of blood, and it would end up playing a much larger part in the story as we continued. So Taiyo actually has even more motivation to get better in order to protect her. One thing that is interesting about Yozakura Family is that at the beginning, it is very episodic. It takes its time so we can get to know the other members of the family as they themselves teach stuff to Taiyo with either their own specialties or whatever else he needs to know about being a spy. And you see him improve slowly as the manga progresses. Right now, by the time this video was uploaded, it should have about 60 or so chapters. But in that short amount of time, considerably, Taiyo has improved exponentially. And it goes to show how much drive he has to protect not just Mutsume, but also his new family. Because they actually treat him like a brother, no matter what. Because even though he has married into this family and he hasn't known them for that long, they end up bonding and becoming more of a real blood-related family. And that's something that I think a lot of shonen don't always go into. You always have like the importance of friendship and determination and following your dreams in every single shonen, but family is not always the core aspect of it. Yozakura Family really does play into the fact that family can in fact improve your life and also make you stronger. You see this with how Taiyo has strengthened his bonds with every single member of the family, how they all call him like brother and stuff like that, and also how they've grown to respect his growth and care for him when he actually gets injured. And it also shows how Taiyo has also become attached to this family, because they end up having dynamics that you would see from not just friends, but also people that are actually family, which, I'm not gonna lie, is something fresh and new that you do not see in shonen very often. The closest thing that I can personally think of in a shonen action series is Blue Exorcist. It has a lot of things of family, especially with the Okumura brothers, but it doesn't really expand past those two. With Yozakuro Family, the main cast is in fact the family. You see their interactions, we get insight into their family history, how their family goes about things, and how their reputation precedes all of Taiyo's expectations, and how now that he is a part of this family, he has a lot of expectations to actually meet, because they are the best spy family in the world, and that is not just due to their superhuman strength, because they have mastered every single art of spycraft, and a lot of them are, in fact, very skilled in their own ways, either in combat, using traps, using weaponry, hacking, or even just poison and stuff like that, or strategic values. It is a bunch of different things, and this family, while they all learn everything that they need to, they all have their own specialties, like I just mentioned. And Taiyo, he essentially, since he's new and learning all this spycraft, he actually has to learn about this during this short period of time, and he takes everything from each family member, whether it be Futaba's insanely clever martial arts, Kengo's art of imitation in the skies, Shion, technically helping Shion with hacking, Nano and how he deals with poisons, and Shinzo went in hid the art of weaponry. And Shinzo was really good with weapons. He gives Taiyo his own weapon later down the line, which he really does come into his own, and using his own fighting style along with the Yozakura family's classic fighting techniques. But yes, Yozakura Family is a really interesting manga. It is somewhat cliche at times with how the beginning is very episodic, but it's necessary. As you see later down the road, you see the interactions with all the siblings and how they rely on each other, their interactions and how they view each other. And that is something I've come to appreciate, especially in later arcs. One other thing that actually makes Yozakura Family kind of not an overabundance of action is that it can be insanely goofy at times, and that is how they managed to keep it fresh, because even in some goofy aspects, they do have some really awesome action scenes. Like you can have one little arc that focuses on a highly skilled spy that's trying to kill the Prime Minister of Japan. And then you can end up going into another chapter right afterwards that deals with Taiyo trying to learn how to fight in the ocean or something like that, or detect things in the ocean, and it going into a completely comical degree. Or even one where they go on a walk with their dog, which is insanely powerful, considering that it is in fact a super powerful dog with... It runs really fast. I'm just going to go with that. I'm not going to go into it too often, but you can have a bunch of goofiness, but you can also integrate into a more serious action arc, which really does, in fact, solidify why all these previous moments were necessary, because it humanizes the family and also gets you to know them all better, and how they interact and how they react to all these different situations. It's honestly a very interesting shonen to actually read, because you don't have no idea where this story is going to get, because even though it can be insanely goofy and having a lot of serious action scenes, it can have a lot of heartwarming moments, and even some that could tug at your heartstrings. And it's even further established with just how great the artwork is whenever we get these special moments. Whether it be Taiyo and Mutsume actually just hanging out at an aquarium, or high tension action scenes involving every member of the family, to the point where you think that something sad and somber is going to happen. You have no real clue of what's going to happen, because it's crafted in a very intricate way. I'm not saying it's the best shonen right now, but it already has a lot of potential with how strong the cast feels and how very steadily and believably Taiyo has progressed as not just a protagonist, but also as a spy and a fighter. And then not just show this with like the serious arcs like I've mentioned, but also show this with some mini arcs or just a few chapters that showcase Taiyo learning a new skill, or Taiyo just hanging out with Mutsume or one of the family members and something bizarre goes wrong and he has to use these new techniques in order to not just improve himself but also save the family member, or at least make sure he doesn't drag them down. And it's just something that I've come to appreciate it. It's not the best series in Jump right now, but it is one of my favorites that I'm currently reading. And there are a lot of great shonen that are currently released in Shonen Jump. I mean, you got Jujutsu Kaisen that is reaching towards 200 chapters and its anime already came out. Chainsaw Man just finished and it's getting an anime now. We also got stuff like Mashal, we got Spy X Family, and I think Jump Plus. There's a lot of different manga right now that are really good, and Spy X Family is currently one of the ones that I really do enjoy reading. It's very fun, its action is great, the paneling is very dynamic at times, and you know that the mangaka really knows what they're doing. Not to mention, you really can tell that they love spy movies with just how much different types of spy type films are being referenced with how the characters end up doing their missions. It's something that anyone that's loved spy thrillers will enjoy, and it's something that I personally can't wait to see what happens next. There is an overarching plot, which I will not spoil, because the revelations of what is going on, the inner mysteries of what revolves around Taiyo's family, as well as what the future can hold, is something that you have to read for yourself. It doesn't seem like it has like an overarching end goal or an overarching plot at first, but it slowly builds up to it, even though it's literally like almost not even at 100 chapters yet, which is very impressive because usually by the time you reach this point, you have a clear indication of what the overall end goal of the series is, or the character has improved somewhat slightly enough to not drag anyone down, and hasn't had too much development. Taiyo is different. He's had to grow up and develop along with the rest of the cast in a way because he has to. It's what he really needs to do. And it's honestly a very believable development considering that he's just an average person at first, and then he ends up getting thrown into this world of spies, and he ends up having to improve himself. And it's something that I can in fact admire because, let's face it, with the goofiness of the series, it makes being a spy seem like even if you're a normal person, you have to be superhuman to actually be able to take everything into account. And it's just, I recommend the series because it's just really fun to read. The characters are likable, the comedy is top notch, the action is honestly very, very good, and when we get into the actual story of the series, it really does stir your interest, and you're very curious to see what the hell will happen next. But that's not from me. If this video does well, I might also end up trying to review Yozakuro Family chapters as they come out, depending on whether or not I have the time to record videos on them. But yeah, this is a very good manga. I highly recommend it. If you haven't already given this manga a try, go. I highly guarantee that you will enjoy it. But that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can get notified on future videos. It all really helps because this channel has been slowly growing, and I have been honestly curious to see what people would like to see next. If you like Yozakura Family content, I will try and start to do weekly reviews, and I will also see what other manga I will talk about in the future. So yeah, with all that said and done, I hope you guys have an awesome day.